Well, hello, welcome. My name is Vortex. So you came here probably looking to find out what the heck is going on in the IT industry right now. Well,
Sure, why not? You know, I am kind of curious to see what he has to say about the tech industry as a VTuber. Um, I will say in advance, I did watch this once. He does have some points that are very different. His experience in the tech industry is very different from mine, but well, I'm not
I only have about 7 years experience, but I've seen the worst of the industry. So
only 7 years. Yeah, about the same, to be honest. I've had about 6 years, honestly. I started in like 2018 is when I started. I started at like a little dev shop called Wetfish, and they've been like my friends ever since. So, and I still do jobs for them from time to time, like maintaining some of their software. I just need to ask about that, to be honest. But yeah. Um, so yeah, did a whole bunch of work there. I used to work at a porn company, so that was interesting. I've had a lot of companies that I've worked for. I can't even count all of them. I can't even count all the companies I've worked for. But yeah, it's like I think it's in the tens, you know. But yeah, a lot of these people I worked for very short amounts of time, so I'm a contractor. So my development experience is very different. So yeah. He'll talk about like some industry things that are just unrelated to what I work to, but yeah.
if you are a college student that is
No,
looking to get into the industry, or you're just graduating college, or you're in the industry,
if you're in college and you're going into the IT industry, you're already fucked. Okay. Your best bet is to practice your skills, build personal projects, and like fucking like take a coding boot camp on top of that, because that's what I did. That's what I did after college. I just straight up went, took a coding boot camp, and I just started like building projects with random people. I remember having like this it was like a YouTube to MP3 thing, and like we borrowed someone else's API, and we were making like ad money off of it. We were making like pennies of ad revenue. It was crazy, man. It was crazy. And I also ran ads on my webcomic for a while. I think it was called Project Wonderful before it like fucking just like fucking like ended. It was crazy. I miss Project Wonderful. You know, before, it was great what they were trying to do, but the fact that, ad blockers exist, I think what could have maybe saved our companies would be to just implement something that actually said, "Hey, we don't show that many ads. Just let us have our one little ad, okay? Unblock us, please, please. We're a small company. We're not here to piss you off. We're not like these other companies who are trying to track you. We just want to like make a little bit of money from ad companies, from our little websites. So it's like, I should have done that, but at the time I didn't have an experience doing that. And I should have pursued that because we might have made a little bit more money, but honestly, nothing could have predicted us from Project Wonderful crashing, which sucks. But yeah, yeah. And back then I was really into webcomics, so I just like managed a webcomic on top of that. So that was interesting. I literally just like drew webcomics, worked a slave wage job, and just fucking, it was great. And I still have that webcomic up too, if you want to see it. But oh, that was weird.
or you've been in the industry
I
for
did
a long
not
time,
ask
congratulations and my
to have these full
condolences.
screen.
But
What the?
here I want to go ahead
Yeah, congratulations and my condolences. Exactly. I did not ask for that to be full screen.
and give you a brief overview of the history of the IT industry as well as how things are
Oh,
going right now. So, to give some context, the IT industry comes and goes in ways when it comes to hiring and losing employees
sure.
and sort of comes and dips and goes down and stuff like that. So, my little ramble here today will hopefully give you a little bit of a better picture of my observations and what I've been able to see from the industry thus far to help
Okay.
you paint a better picture of how you want to go forward in your career if you should choose to do so. So, the IT industry kind of kicked off in the .com bubble when
Bruh, you weren't even around coding in the .com bubble. The .com bubble. Dot com bubble. Man, it must have been really great. Because, like, there's like songs that came out like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna start a new company because I already bought the domain," right? Like, let's be real here. You weren't around during the fucking .com bubble, but whatever.
Facebook released, so you got Facebook,
Oh my God.
and the internet sort of started to become popularized in the home. So,
No, bro. Facebook came around like after like 2008. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, no, no, that's not how it happened. The fuck? Get out of here. Like Facebook was after the dot-com crash, bro. Like you don't even get that right. Whatever. Go ahead.
what ended up happening is the dot com bubble sort of grew and grew and grew in terms of the IT industry. You got lots of companies, you got tons of big businesses, you got lots of people in this industry.
I mean, I get what you're trying to get at here. How what happened in the dot-com bubble, I see where you're going with this. So,
And then you got tons of people at the start of it telling people to go into IT, you're in tech, you're smart. And then all of a
they
sudden,
still are.
you have too many people that are overqualified. So you got people that have like lots of knowledge coming out of
Sure.
college, and then all of a sudden you got too many.
Lots of knowledge coming out of college. Every college person I've ever worked with has been like really retarded, and I've had to like have them show them things. They need their handheld, they're basically just chat GPT, walking out with like chat GPT level knowledge, they can like barely they have no concept of what it means to like build a full stack application or anything like that. Some coding boot camps, they do have some of that, and I'm happy that exists. Like the first time I ever learned how to build a CRUD app was with Laracasts. So like that was where I started. Like I started with like motherfucking Laravel, and I failed PHP class in like college because like they throw the information at you way too fast, and you kind of just have to like figure it out, and it sucks. They don't help you. You don't get any help. I mean, you can get a little bit of help, like yeah. Building an API and building CRUD apps is like not like they like some places don't even like prepare you for that. And now there's like AI and stuff, and there's like, I mean, the schools can try to keep up, but like what to teach is kind of like an ever moving target for them, and they just don't get it, and they don't get it, and it's underfunded. There's not enough interest in it. At least it depends on the area where you're at. If you're like in the Midwest, good luck getting a decent tech job. You're going to be working with Microsoft Tech most likely, probably C sharp, which sucks, and you're probably going to end up, working, random jobs, probably WordPress, because that's what's available. You have to look at the market and what's available, and then you learn the tools for that market. Or if you're crazy enough, you just try and fail and and just talk your way in, which is also a thing he's going to mention as well. So,
People that are overqualified. What ends up happening, the IT industry starts requiring higher and higher qualifications to the point
yep.
where towards the end of the dot com bubble, you had to have either a master's degree or 20 years of experience. The IT industry,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this only applies if you're going to like Fortune 500 companies or something like that, like major companies that are like you get like a W-2 job, right? So like that this would only apply. Now, if you're like a contractor, you have your own website, maybe you're using something like a platform, to like Fiverr or something like that, whatever. You know, you're not really subject to the same rules. In fact, every time the IT industry has like a terrible meltdown, you're probably doing good because you're cheaper, you get things done, people expect you to get things done, and people expect more things out of you, but also less, right? So like they expect you to do a specific job, which could be fixing a payment processor, it could be, redesigning a web page, and that's all you're doing. And traditionally, although, you can charge more, the job will usually take less because you're being paid hourly, and you're only being paid for the amount of work that you're doing. usually. So like you end up saving companies lots of money, and you still get paid by the hour. But you have to make up for that by doing a whole bunch of other jobs, which really sucks. So, yeah, I would know because I've been doing this for about the same amount of time he's been in W-2 jobs, or at least I can tell because he's saying, "Oh, you have to have a master's degree, blah 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 blah." You still don't need those kinds of qualifications. You can still work in technology. Just don't expect to work in Fortune 500 companies immediately unless you have some sort of notoriety, or you work with a company, or you've contracted with a company that has any sort of notoriety or something like that, you know.
Was not very old at that time. So what ended up happening is there was a market crash. .com died.
Oh boy.
And then you kind of had like a mass exodus of people from the IT industry.
Sure.
And tech companies started to realize, oh crap, we need people.
Oh yeah.
What ends up happening is people start
Yeah. Companies tend to overhire and overfire. They overshoot their goals. So, it happens. It definitely happens.
saying to their kids, oh, you're smart. You're good with tech.
Yeah.
Go into college. Go to IT. Start working in the IT industry. The big thing at the time was cloud computing.
Cloud computing is terrible.
So then the industry.
And like, from my perspective, cloud computing, I hate cloud computing. I think it's trash. I think you're asking to have your account limited by Amazon, and you're asking for like errors, like very expensive errors that Amazon will force you to pay eventually, because you didn't configure that one Lambda correctly, or you didn't, I mean, I use cloud services, yeah, but like, I don't really use like I don't use the AWS for everything. Everyone like when I was asked, do you know what Amazon SCS is? Or like, do you know how what it was some Amazon technology, but it ended up just being like a freaking it wasn't Beanstalk, it was called what the fuck is it called? Let's see. I think it was like RDBMS, like Amazon, yeah, it was like Amazon RDBM. I think it was RDS. It wasn't RDS. It was like EC. It was EC2. Yeah, it was called EC2. It was called EC2. That basically what was listed on the job application was EC2, and people call this cloud computing. It was just another VPS managed by AWS, honestly. So like, no, like cloud is it's silly. It's silly. You can organize cloud services together. Like Docker is a big thing. I love Docker, by the way. It's how I run my streaming services. So like, like Docker, like Amazon EC2, you still need to know Linux, and you still need to know how to configure these services and be able to troubleshoot these things. So like cloud computing is like it's not a big deal. It's only relevant to people who are running businesses. In fact, like cloud computing was a thing like Peter Thiel like actually wrote in his book that cloud computing was a thing way before the 2010s was ever a thing. And like we've had like cloud services and managed databases for like forever, especially at the enterprise level, and it's like it's not a new thing. It just only got popular like around the 2010s, around when React and Node.js came on the scene. And cloud was kind of a new thing. It's like, oh my god. And then I still find it interesting, when people call themselves cloud engineers, I just kind of laugh at them, and I'm just like, really? You call yourself a cloud engineer? It's like, do you even know Linux, bro? Well, yeah, I know a little bit. It's like they know a little bit of Linux maybe, but they're most of the time they're just working around with the GUI in the Amazon ecosystem, telling bots what to do. And I just don't have as much respect for them as someone who knows how to configure a VPS. In fact, people are actually going back to VPSs nowadays. It's like there's a whole revolution. It's like, well, we don't want to build things anymore. Building stuff is stupid because it's only relevant for like major companies and major, like building like large apps. And on top of that, you take like a cache. So like if you're serving a whole bundle, right? That's not always advantageous. You want to serve a small bundle to your client as much as you possibly can. If you possibly can. React is terrible at doing this. Vue is slightly better, and Svelte is amazing at it. But you can go further, and you can just write it in plain JavaScript. Or you could use something like Astro or something like that, which allows you to serve one JavaScript for that one page, which is ideal. But but back in 2010s, we were like, oh, we want to have web apps. We want to have, all this stuff. So we need to have all this functionality on the client side. And then, oh no, we have issues syncing client side data with server side data. So we need to have an intermediary, a mutex, if you will. But they didn't really call it a mutex. What they called it was what was that? Data store. Was it like a client-side data store? No, it wasn't a client-side data store. It was like stuff like Redux, right? Stuff like Redux, which is meant to like keep track of data changes of the server and the client, and just kind of keep those two things basically have the same data. So the data storage, Redux, was like the source of truth, if you will, you know and its job, along with Redux Saga or what was it, Redux Saga, or what tool you use. There's like two tools to like help you like keep in sync with like your client data and your server data. It gets really complicated. It's a lot easier just to like not do that, and like not have to manage state with the state management system library. You just have the server manage it and just have a nice little conversation, kind of like HTMX has with like your client side and the server side. You send server side events and the client responds. It's like you're having a two-way conversation between the client and the server. It's a beautiful way to do it. It was how it was originally done with Ajax back in, like 2012, and jQuery, even though I think jQuery's kind of cringe nowadays. But back then jQuery was amazing. Before ES6 ever came on the scene, jQuery was really, really great. And I thought it was great at the time too, at least in 2018 when I first started using it. And then discovered that ES6 can actually do a lot more than I thought it could. And basically what I was using jQuery for was to select things, and then I discovered document.query selector, and then my life changed. So yeah. Anyway, let's find his video. Hold on. Where is it? Pick a pet. Here we go. So yeah, cloud computing, such a bubble. But honestly, when it comes to these bubbles here, there's actually different explanations as to why this happened. Most people say that it's not really cloud computing that's the bubble per se. It's more like we had the pandemic, right? Like there's other explanations for this that can explain why there's like more tech layoffs. One of them is the Fed raising interest rates, and also there's legislation from the federal government themselves, started by Trump, by the way, making it much more difficult to hire tech workers and much more expensive to hire tech workers. In fact, another thing that also makes it harder is Biden's policy on contract workers. Basically, anyone who works contract workers, they lowered the minimum amount you have to be paid in order to give a 1099 MISC. And the penalties for not having a 1099 MISC whenever you're contracting is very steep and can be potentially very, very painful if you're a business. So yeah, just so you know, if you ever hire someone, the threshold is $500 right now. It didn't used to be that way. It could be, I think it used to be like 1,500, and then you had to send a 1099 MISC, but now it's like 500. So yeah, it's not really that. There's a lot of other things that are playing into it that caused this. Like during COVID, right? We had to hire a whole bunch of fucking people. We had to hire a whole bunch of fucking people because everyone needed to be on Zoom. Everyone was buying webcams. Everyone was buying toilet paper. Everyone was trying to work remote. So yeah, we had to have more people to support those systems. I wasn't one of them. I was in the crypto industry at the time because crypto was even more popular at that time too. So yeah. Yeah, and I was pretty happy about it. That was a good job, even though he was annoying, and I had to like beat him over the head for trying to like lowball me every time. He was just a very annoying client to work with. But yeah.
Industry starts to grow and grow and grow. And the same thing happens during the dot-com bubble. In terms of the timeline, so you have the dot-com bubble that
Okay.
burst. Then we
Okay.
move to this section. We are currently at the end of the cloud computing bubble. So
No, you're not. You still need AI. Still needs hardware. It needs cloud, and they're probably going to use cloud. In fact, that's like what they're using cloud now. They're like implementing AI into cloud, and they've been doing that since before ChatGPT was a thing. Like one of the first things I worked on, even in like I think it was like 2019, right? But yeah, I had to work on a recommendation engine for a company, you know, and like this was before LLMs were a thing. To make a recommendation engine now is just like it's so trivial now. You just feed the LLM the output, be like, hey, my customer likes this, this, and this. What kind of media do you think they would like? And you just spit it back out to them. And honestly, I haven't tried this out. I don't know if this works very well, but yeah, yeah, it would definitely be a use case for an LLM. But I'm not sure you'd want to use that. I think you'd want to like at least like train it a little bit or like prompt it and give it like information to work from, you know. So yeah,
the cracks are starting to form. The bubble
maybe.
is popping or is starting to pop because a new emerging technology has basically come round called AI. Love it or hate it, it's here to stay.
New technology, not really. It's just LLMs. It's LLMs, buddy. It's not really AI. AI has been around for a long time. Um, it's just gotten better. We have LLM, we have LLMs, and now it's not AI per se, to be honest.
So now that this bubble is forming and this technology is in its infancy, the people from the cloud computing bubble
Okay.
are starting to go elsewhere, do other things because they realize the IT industry is not for them. Now, presently, I've had to go through many, many different jobs,
Yeah.
and presently, cloud computing is on the way out, and AI is starting.
Yeah. Cloud computing is definitely on the way out. It's definitely lost its luster for sure. But there is still use cases for it. So yeah, just kind of like in the .com bubble, there are still use cases for selling, .coms. It's not like it just goes away magically. The market shrinks, but it doesn't go away. So yeah, it's not like Amazon. Amazon survived the .com crash, and look at it now. They didn't just magically go away. So there'll still be jobs. They'll just be a little bit more competitive. Which is definitely what I'm experiencing now, for sure. There are a lot of people wanting to get jobs. It's a lot easier. I think it's less competitive. Personally, I think I had a lot more success being a contractor than I have being an employee at a company. And the reason is I get a job a lot easier as an employee than I do at a company because the company just they take too long and then I'm already gone. So yeah. But anyway,
Now, if you notice, there's actually a bit of a pattern that is sort of going along with this. Everything in this pattern,
it's oversimplified,
if
bro.
I go ahead and show you here, everything in this pattern is software related.
Not
But
necessarily.
there's one constant throughout this entire timeline of software. That's hardware.
Hardware.
I love hardware. I graduated with a degree in networking and telecommunications. So
Network and telecom. So he's probably a lot better at like working with networks than I am. I have a very basic understanding about how networks work. I know the TCP/IP stack. I'm aware of the UDP stack. I know how to send a HTTP request from my streaming setup to my Discord, and I know how to make bots and whatnot. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I'm not intimately familiar with this. I just know how to work with it and how to manipulate it to my own ends for the most part. I wouldn't call myself an expert, of course, but yeah. I'm surprised that he doesn't really speak at such a technical level, but you can go ahead.
I'm basically hardware focused.
Of course.
But the problem I ran into,
I
I
mean,
only had an associate's degree in the middle of the
okay.
big cloud computing bubble. So that means I could only get service desk level positions at the very
Hmm.
bottom, making
Yeah. And honestly, I can only get contract positions as someone with an associate's degree. And also, I've also gotten a job with just associates. I think it really just depends on luck and who you know. And also, like I worked at like a porn company and it was great. I worked at a porn company and that was like it wasn't a contract job, it was a job. So yeah, it wasn't like, but yeah.
$12, $13 an hour. That's rough, especially
Yeah, that is rough. I'm glad I'm not a hardware guy.
when you're first trying to start out. And I moved away from home just to try and find better work because I figured it was something to do with where I was living. But at the time, I didn't know that's where the IT industry was currently at. So now that we're at the end of the cloud computing bubble, the AI bubble is starting up, I've finally been able to find myself in a position to be able to get into a hardware position.
Okay.
And that's the most
Oh
stable
well.
position. Unless you're in uh, any kind of engineering role. And I'm talking like high level engineering, like you're
Okay.
in like network engineering, software engineering, whatever. It's hard to get into those roles.
Network engineering, software engineering. So he makes this distinction between network engineering and software engineering. I don't think he's really explained what he means by hardware. I think he goes into it later and mentions that he works with servers or something like that, which, network engineering is basically just getting a whole bunch of servers to do what you want, pretty much, for like a company or like an enterprise level company, which is actually kind of important. It's actually a great idea. If you can like get like swarms of like containers to do something, like if you can get like a Docker container swarm to like, handle like a whole bunch of customers, like you're doing pretty good. Like you're making lots of money. You're serving lots of people. It's pretty cool. In fact, this is how I planned on, making a streaming service was to create a whole bunch of Docker containers and serve a whole bunch of people. The only problem is I don't have money or the infrastructure to make such a thing. I know I can do it. I know it's very possible, and it's probably not too hard. There's a lot of, but of course, the devil is always in the details. And making a service that would be usable for streamers, it would be pretty hard. But yeah, it is kind of hard to be an engineer. You do have to learn a lot of things. You are getting exposed to a lot of new things, new code, and each company has its own different process. Um, but the thing is, you have to just learn on the job, and you just kind of just roll with it. You read the documentation, you apply it, and after a certain amount of times, a CRUD app is a CRUD app. A CRUD app is a CRUD app. Yeah, create, read, update. It's just different ways to do it. And a payment processor is a payment processor. Some payment processors do have their own challenges or business specific challenges, like CC bill, for example. If you ever work in a porn industry, CC bill is going to be a pain in the ass for you. It's just a pain in the ass for everyone all around. CC bill is a pain in the ass. I've also worked at, I think at this company I worked at, we were also like forging requests to Mobius Pay or something like that. And telling them so we wouldn't get flagged by their payment processor as a suspicious transaction. It was great. It was great. Great times. But yeah, let's see. What else is he gonna say? I forgot.
If you want an easy role to get into, hardware is the way to go. I know it's
I wouldn't
scary,
know.
but it'll give you a baseline for how everything works in the industry, and it pays pretty well for the most part.
For the most part.
Now, when it comes
Doesn't
to
say, does
getting a
he?
job in this, say you're in college, you have a bachelor's coming up, or you're just graduated or something,
Oh my
you
god.
have your bachelor's.
Oh no.
Now, as of right now, the bubble is only just starting to burst for the cloud computing industry. So it's going to be hard for you to get into the industry without a few little tips and tricks here that I'm.
It is true. Yeah, you're gonna have a very hard time. Yeah, and especially for all those reasons I mentioned that are, beyond our control and beyond not your fault. So,
I'm going to impart a little bit of wisdom on you with. So, one thing that you want to do whilst you're in college or whilst you're in the or graduating or whatever, or if you're just kind of surfing around the industry right now and you're out of college or whatnot, certifications are the big thing because
I don't think certifications, if they're that easy, if it's really that easy to get certifications, like, like some places I've been, they're just like little questionnaire things that are just, you can just like cheat on them. And it's like, certifications are stupid, and some of them. But like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe if you're like network engineering, certifications might matter, like if you're a network engineer, like Cisco might help, or like, but I've never gotten Cisco. I don't really worry about that. My experience is Linux. I work with Linux boxes and Linux systems. You know, part of what I do nowadays, because I stream, is I end up hacking my own Windows so I can get it to do what I want. And currently I'm streaming on Windows. So yeah, yeah. But like, if you're in networking, it does make sense. I will give him that. But if you're a programmer, start with projects that you're interested in, and if you're in engineering, just make stuff you think is cool, and just keep doing that. And like things that you think are useful, like for example, um, like you think are useful and are useful to other people. Keyword useful to you and other people, right? So like I'll show you a few projects I made. Right. So here we go. Here we go. Let's see here. Is that say here? I think that's. Oh yeah, Discord webhook. I use this for like to make sure my webhook is properly working. Let's see here. GitHub. I don't know if I should do that, but I'm gonna have to sign in. Cool. All right. Cool. Cool. Let's see here. What was I going to say? What was I going to say? So, if we go look at my GitHub, right? So yeah, I do have a GitHub. I do have a GitHub. Um, Look at your projects with stars, right? See this project. Obviously, yeah, I know my GitHub isn't green. But that's because I have my own Git server because I don't want, GitHub stealing my code for AI. So, not that my private server is much better, but whatever. So we look at oil filter API. Why do we have so many stars? Why this is literally a spite project. This is literally a spite project. And I made this because I was mad at Walmart. They took away my oil filter kiosk and they replaced it with their shitty Walmart.com oil filter selector, which took a long time to load on my phone. It was terrible and it was just not friendly to use. You literally had to like navigate to um you had to search for it in their search bar, which is just terrible. And so what I did was I put QR codes next to their QR codes, and then people started scanning them. And now I have and people worldwide are using this, so it's like not just me. It's like I have people from all over the world using this app to find their oil filters for their car so they know the size. It's just a handy free app, and you can just take that data wherever you want. I scraped it from Rock Auto, so that's why it's pretty good. But yeah, 3 stars. The reason it has 3 stars is because people found it useful or they liked it. So yeah. Anyway, um, but yeah, build something that's useful and other people think are useful. So yeah. And I also have other projects like Tape Sync. Some person thought it was useful, but it's not like it's more like a fun thing that people like. You can stream videos on Tape Sync, which is great. Like no one cares about Chiho CMS. I care about it, but no one else cares. It's a webcomic CMS, but nobody cares. So let's see, what else do I got in here? Let's see, what else have we got in here? Let's see. Are some examples I've done, just to practice, right? Just to get used to certain technologies. Like you definitely need to do that as a developer. Just get used to stuff. Oh, B&A Smasher Pass. Let's see here. FarmBot, I love that one. I think let's see, what was it called? It was called let's see. And actually this code has been used in so many of my client projects. think it's called, yeah, it's called Mflex. Yeah. Yeah, if you look at Mflex, right? This is my CSS framework. I got like 2 stars on it. It's just amazing. I got like 2 stars on it. There's 2 people watching it, you know, and it's great. I do my best to like not like make breaking changes as much as I can. Oh, what do I have for issues? Admin with paragraph breaks. So like I use this project in like all my code, and like usually people what they do with this and what I do with it is I take pieces of it and I drop it into like a bootstrap project, and it like replaces like pretty much 80% of bootstrap. Pretty much replaces like 80% of bootstrap for code, which is great. And it's so small, it's only like it's like less than like I don't eat like unzipped, it's like 8K. I guess I'm shilling a little bit. Yeah. The point is, make a project that you think is useful. And honestly, the reason I made this project was because Tailwind existed and I hated Tailwind. So I thought I'd make my own tool. And to be honest, I love it. I would never use anything else. In fact, I would never use Tailwind if I didn't have to, but I'm familiar with Tailwind and I know how it works and I know how to use it. And people ask for like Tailwind experience. It's like, whatever, no one cares. It's so simple. It's just a whole bunch of classes. It's a whole bunch of CSS classes, whatever, no big deal. So yeah. So let's get back to this video.
Experience, years of experience doesn't mean anything to these guys.
Not necessarily. That depends on who you're talking to. Years of experience does matter a lot of cases. In fact, I've gotten easier hires because I have the years of experience, and I've actually lasted longer on jobs because I've had years of experience. But it's not necessarily the years of experience. You can have like 10 years of doing like one thing and like not have, be useful to a company, right? If you have 10 years of just being a React programmer, you're not very useful to a lot of companies. I mean, yeah, you can do React, but like, can you manage a Linux server? Can you, take care of DNS issues? Maybe set up a website with SSL or something like that. Can you, there's a lot of other little things that companies expect you to know how to do, but they don't tell you, right? One of them is knowing Linux. And like, everyone likes like, oh, get cloud computing certified, and then they get into a job where they get introduced to an EC2 instance, and they're like, huh, what, what? I have to manage this, what? Pretty much, yeah. So like, no, it's learn the basic technologies first, like all these buzzwords that they're marketing terms, right? 5G, marketing term. Cloud computing, marketing term. AI, marketing term. None of these mean anything to you as a developer. Those things don't mean anything to you. Honestly, what means something to you is like, I make API go here. I send data here. It gets transformed here. Oh, I have AI. Oh, okay. I feed AI to data here, and AI spits this data back out, and then I take that data and I put it here. You are a data plumber. Okay? That's what you are. You're a data plumber. And then sometimes you design plumbing systems as well. You're a data plumber that designs plumbing systems. Or you take plumbing system designs and implement them. So yeah, it's I would say it's not that hard, but details make the job hard. So yeah.
And the collective brain rot up at the top right now of a lot of these big companies, they only see their HR departments and their hiring departments only see the qualifications. They don't care about years of experience because there's too many people in the IT industry. So,
Well, then why do they keep raising the bar then of years of experience if they didn't care about that? That's what I have to say to that. But yeah.
the one thing you want to get to stand out is these certifications. So once you have
if you're a network engineer or a network person,
a few certifications under your belt, make sure you set up your resume in such a way that it lists all of your skills on like a side column.
yeah, I've done
And
that.
then you list all of your...
Also, if you're going to make it, ideally put it in latex if you can. It's actually easier to be read that way, from what I understand. Some of them are getting processed through AI, so I get it might not matter. So that might be a thing.
uh, degrees and stuff on the next column there, and then you list your experience here if you have it. You can make stuff up. They don't care because most of this stuff is being read by AI anyway. Make sure you use buzzwords and keywords.
Yeah,
And the biggest thing you want to
yeah,
look for is when you are applying to a job, they'll have these lists of qualifications on the application on the website or whatever you're going to apply to. Modify your resume to match these qualifications
yeah.
because the AI is going to read them, or whoever's
True.
behind it is going to read them. Is like, oh, this matches, this matches, this matches, because they don't know a
Hmm.
thing about the IT industry.
Yeah,
Don't assume that the company you're going to work for knows anything about IT.
very
What
true.
you want to do is
HR people know nothing about it. In fact, I've actually worked on systems that are meant to screen out people like that. Um, you know, like if you work with iSIMs, right? If you see a website called iSIMs, there's a very high chance. Actually, no, there's not a high chance. There is a chance that some of my code is floating around out there, is filtering your application and preventing you from getting a job. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I did what I can to survive, man.
they hear these buzzwords. You want to match your resume to these buzzwords, and that will be your key to success.
Yep.
Now, another thing you want to do once you have a job offer, this is something you want to be very careful of. You'll have a couple different kinds of agreements. You'll have a non-solicitation. Sometimes you'll see a non-solicitation agreement.
Can confirm.
Those aren't too terribly bad to deal with because they just basically say you can't solicit their customers or them for
Yeah.
any services or anything outside of the company.
Easy.
Then you have non-disclosures.
Yep.
Basically, a lot of these consist of you not having and you not telling anyone company secrets. The
Yep.
big one
Generally.
that's in
But to be honest, most company secrets are already known by all the companies anyway, so it's kind of like, can you really prove it? You know? But generally best to not talk about company details if you can. But yeah, if you can. So like I know a lot of things about what certain companies did, but I do my best to not say what they are. So yeah.
contention right now, non-competes.
Yeah, fuck
If a
those.
company hands you a
Fuck those.
non-compete, it's a very much a red flag.
Don't even entertain that idea. Just like if you see a non-compete, just yeah, don't even apply for that job, man. They're a terrible company. They're going to like ruin your career or you both.
And make sure you read that non-compete because sometimes a company, and I've experienced this before, will set it up
Same.
in such a way where it'll be a career-ending and
Oh my
life-ending
God.
experience for you if you don't handle it properly.
Yeah, one of the clauses I had was, oh, you cannot work for a company worldwide for about 2 years. I'm just like, are you fucking serious? The great thing about this is that they are literally unenforceable now. I think it was like the Department of Labor or something. Yeah, I think there's a federal ruling that says their non-competes are unenforceable. So, and like most courts will just throw them out anyway, is what I've heard. But like now there's like even more confirmation that so it's unlikely you'll see a non-compete in your career, but if you do, um, just inform them that those are now illegal and they can be like sued for lots of money. So yeah,
Properly because a non-compete can say anything.
true.
It can say, "Oh, you can't work within 100 miles of any of our customers or us." For a big national or global company, that could be career ending because you
Yeah.
can't work in the IT industry for
Hmm.
12 months or longer, whatever they decide. And it gets worse because sometimes they can put clauses in there where they can sue you for disobeying that non compete
Yeah.
and your
Don't
kids
entertain that shit. Yeah.
and their kids. And that's where it gets a little bit insane. And I've seen
He's
this before.
joking. No, you
You got to be
haven't.
careful with these non
I don't
competes. Make
believe
sure
you.
you read them before you
I don't believe the whole kids thing, but like, you know,
go into a position. And if you turn down that position, tell them I declined this job because of this non-compete agreement.
And I've done that before, and I've had like some of my tech friends tell me, "No, no, why would you do that? You know, they're basically unenforceable. Just say yes. It's free money. Who cares? You know?" And like back then, you know, I'm glad I didn't listen to them. Honestly, I'm genuinely glad. Nothing came of it, to be honest. But like, I'm just for my peace of mind, it's just better not to deal with those kinds of people. In fact, I remember that project. They were literally using jQuery and Node.js. Like it was just the most retarded project from Florida. Like literally, it was devised by Florida men. So you can imagine how crazy that project must have been. Oh my god.
I will not be signing this. If you really want me to work here, get rid of that non-compete.
Yeah.
And the big thing is, don't be afraid to say no.
Yeah.
I know you want to
Absolutely.
get into a position and you want to be able to make a good impression, but the IT industry, or any industry for that matter these days, does not care about you, the employee. They only care if you're loyal to the company. It's very much a take.
Company loyalty. Company loyalty. I don't think anyone is fooled by company loyalty. There was never any company loyalty anywhere. That's dead in all industries.
From you and you give to them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you end up in the IT industry, make sure you're doing the best that you can, but don't set the bar higher.
Yes.
Because if you set the bar higher, that becomes the expectation.
The goal is to not burn out from software development. And the problem is I do get burned out very easily from software dev. So yeah, it's tough. You know, I'm very greedy with my time, and I shouldn't be. You know, but I am. So I just do different things to make money. That's why I stream. That's why I do all these random crazy quests. You know, because I learn. You have to always be learning. You know, you have to love learning. You know, to be in software development, and honestly, love learning things you hate. You know, it's part of the job. In fact, you know, the fact that is that software development, they love legacy technology. They love legacy technology, and you're gonna hate it, you know, and it sucks, but that's how it is. So the idea that the tech industry is, you know, going for the next new big thing, no, it's not true. Unless it's AI, then maybe. And even then, they're not even doing that because they're still trying to make money off of what they have, but they still don't know what the fuck to do with LLMs at the moment. And that's kind of a crazy and a wonderful and scary time for most companies. So,
And they will not reward that expectation. Start slow, and if needed, go a little bit above and beyond as required. Don't
yeah,
go in trying to prove yourself to a company that doesn't care about you. Now,
amen.
that's just based off of my experience. I'm sure you or somebody else might have had a different experience in the IT industry, but I've seen the very worst of what the industry can give you. You can have really good bosses, you can have really bad bosses,
Yeah,
and a lot of times, towards the end of these,
I'd say we have pretty different experiences, but like, I don't know. I don't think you've seen the worst, buddy. I don't think you've seen the worst until you started contracting. When you start contracting, you will see the worst people ever to exist. You know, like work for like a crypto bro. Like holy shit, you can see the greed in their eyes. It's like when I saw the greed in this one crypto guy's eyes, I just could not believe like how greedy he actually was. I just could not fathom. Like he literally had dollar signs in his pupils. Like it was that bad, man. Like it scared me. It literally it's just like human beings can be like this. Like what? You know? Like literally it was just beyond my comprehension of how greedy this man was. You know, so like it gets worse. It gets worse if you contract. I promise. You haven't seen the worst, buddy. You have not seen the worst.
bubbles, you get a lot of brain drain. You got a lot of people leaving the industry,
Mm,
high and low,
yeah.
because they're either retiring or moving on. And then what's left is the people that want to keep their power over you.
Hmm.
So, in that case, in this little time period in between the AI and cloud computing bubbles, I recommend you go ahead and hop in there, but be smart about it and know your worth.
Yeah.
Generally, starting IT positions should pay $20 an hour or more.
Yeah. Yeah, generally. I think that's all right. It's not great, but yeah. I would say if you adjust for inflation, that's like a Midwest salary to be honest. You should adjust for inflation if you're on like the East Coast and make like 25, 30, like 30 an hour,
20 dollars an hour or more is usually the starting pay for any position.
Okay.
Anything less, you're being ripped off because in the reality is in this current market, living by yourself, assuming you live by yourself and you don't
Right.
have anyone or anyone else that you're staying with,
True.
I was making 19 an hour at my last job.
Ouch.
I was barely making the bills and I couldn't even pay off the
Damn.
debts that I had from moving.
That's a hardware guy, man. Now imagine if you're a software dev. My experience has been like sometimes I make like 6K in 1 month. Other times I just don't get have a job for like 8 months. It's like it's literally that volatile in my industry in the way I work. So like in the end it balances itself out and I end up being paid like a Walmart worker, So it's kind of like but it's better than that. I don't have to you know, yeah, I have to chase around jobs all the time, half the time, but I don't have to go to a work spot. It's better than having to deal with that shit. But it is nice to have, reliable income. If you're looking for reliable income, IT is not where it is. The IT industry is not going to be reliable anymore. It maybe there was a time, but you know, if you want reliability in the IT industry, don't look elsewhere. Look for the government contracts, look for places like Boeing, like defense contractors or finance. That's the three main thing America values. It's weapons, it's money, and oh wait, what was the other thing? Healthcare. Yeah, yeah. You don't think that you'd make a lot of money in healthcare, but healthcare is definitely one place if you want a stable job. And I'm gonna be like targeting healthcare to be honest, because that's like easy. Healthcare is an easy job. Like one of my buddies, I think his name is Kayembo, right? Yeah, Kayembo Campbell. He's a cool dude. I like that dude. He's like, yeah, he just literally just sat around, did nothing for like a month and got paid. But he had like the experience to back it up and whatnot. And he just talked over and over. So you know. Maybe I should try that instead of WordPress because people expect a lot from WordPress developers, and you know they really like to work you like a sweatshop. I don't want to be a sweatshop developer, so unless I absolutely need it, and I
So, what you
don't
want to
really
aim
need it.
for is something greater than $20 an hour if you're going to be out on your own. And that shouldn't be hard to do. And with that said, that's my knowledge that I've imparted onto you and my little bit of a ramble. Should give you a little bit of a jumping off point to do your own research.
Yeah,
Dive into subjects that interest you. And the thing is,
true.
companies will not train you.
Can confirm. Yes. They will not train you. It's you have to think and solve problems yourself. That's how it is. Sometimes you'll get a nice mentor, you'll get a few nice people that will train you, and you should definitely definitely use that resource as much as you can. But that will eventually dry up. They can't train you forever. That's how it is. It sucks, but it's true. Eventually you need to expound upon what you've learned and try new things. And that means doing your own projects. That means, working with technologies you hate to build things that you like sometimes, and just accepting that. But yeah.
one thing you got to be very aware of is you have to self-teach yourself a lot of things in this IT industry,
Mm,
because a lot of companies will not teach you anything about general tech. They will only teach you about their processes, and the processes are different for every company. They use different software, different processes. It will always change, but familiarize yourself with general software suites and anything that a
mhm.
company uses, and then also be looking.
This includes Jira. You know, if you're not using like Jira is something that you should definitely familiarize yourself with. But honestly, don't worry about it. You know, like Git. A lot of developers start off not knowing how to use Git, which is kind of embarrassing. At least that was the thing back when I got started in like 2018, I think. So yeah.
Forward to market trends. So in this
Hmm.
case, familiar.
Market trends for me: WordPress, React. Laravel's making a bit of a comeback, which is kind of nice. Pretty excited about that. I like Laravel, so yeah. WordPress, React. If you're a contractor, you know that's gonna be what the main. That's it has to be that. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, but yeah.
Familiarize yourself with AI. That's going to be the next
Hmm.
big thing. So if you want to get into an industry that's going to, more or less change rapidly, because that's how the tech industry always has been, always try to keep yourself informed and learn. I usually learn by getting hands.
I don't think the tech industry actually evolves that rapidly, to be honest. From my perspective, I don't think it evolves that rapidly. I mean, LLMs were like, like discovering like, oh, what's this thing do? And then boom, it unlocked a whole bunch of shit. Like even like things like LLMs, I'm just not really impressed by it. And maybe that's just my opinion because I don't like AI so much. I think art should be done by humans and whatnot. But like as far as AI goes, like there are definitely useful cases for AI, right? So like identifying crops, identifying tumors in like X-rays and whatnot, very valuable things. Um, like AI vision is amazing and terrifying. So yeah, LLMs are okay, they're fine, like or like sound AI, that's they're okay too. I mean, I don't really like them. They make music and I don't really like using them, although I have used them before. So, for like my own like, copyright free music, but there'll be some asshole on YouTube that will be like try to copyright or something like that. But yeah, whatever. And it's you know, AI is not that hard. Really, all you have to do, like half of these companies that were like, even on just like contracting websites in a contract, they're asking for like plugins to AI. It's basically you make a plugin that talks to an LLM online and whatnot, or you can host an LLM online if you need to. So it's like you don't even have to like fucking get the what is it, GPT tokens or whatever the fuck you think you need to use. But like a lot of companies are just like, yeah, just use that, bro. Just use the GPT. And it's just like you don't need to use that. You just need to like familiarize yourself with it, understand how these models work. Like one thing I want to understand a little bit more, and I don't understand, is like how do you train a GPT model? Like that's one thing. I know you have to like you can like prompt it and give it things and make it more specific, but like training a GPT model, from my understanding, takes a lot of power. And like if there's a way to like, append to its knowledge, I would like to know. So, but yeah, everything I've seen about appending knowledge to like an LLM is, I don't know. I haven't found any good tutorials yet or any good information out there yet, but I haven't really been looking for it. So maybe one of these days I'll look for something and make something out of like llama or something like that.
Hands on with all kinds of software and hardware and all that kind of good stuff. I still kind of do it. I kind of just dumpster dive for trash computers, try to fix them up, try to do things with them.
Another thing I'd like to say is if you're going to go into AI, I would study lower level AI concepts, like different AI architectures like LSTMs and RNNs and other types of like data science. Like sometimes you can just solve problems without LLMs. Like Bayesian Bayesian inferences can work pretty well. They use it in like email spam folders. It's been used a long time for that, you know. So like naive Bayes is pretty cool. And know what a sigmoid transfer is, because that's a component in an AI or a neural network, as it were.
Create my own projects.
Yes.
And once you start your own projects, you can start your own little rack with all like little found servers. I usually either go to
Mr. Hardware Boy. Yeah.
Facebook Marketplace or whatever, just to find some cheap old computer equipment because you don't need a lot to learn hardware or software.
Yeah, true.
And I also recommend try emulating some other systems because a lot of companies, especially big corporations, still rely on old 1980s tech. I, for example, have
Wow.
worked at 3 jobs that have used
Really?
AS400s.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
AS400s are IBM servers
Oh my god.
from like the 80s and 90s.
Holy shit.
That's old. It's like the green, like you see those old movies with like the green text on a black background. That's that.
Yeah.
That's that system right there.
That's ancient,
So
bro.
don't be afraid of legacy technology. Don't be.
Uh, yeah. Yeah, true. There's still like I said, there's people using jQuery in 2024, believe it or not. So, and some people even think it's the shit and it should continue to be used, which is false, but whatever.
Be afraid to learn. I know you're going to have a lot of stuff that you want to specialize in, but in order to survive in the IT industry, especially as someone that's entry level or even mid level,
Yeah,
you have to progress your own knowledge at your own pace.
that's true.
And that's sort of my wisdom and knowledge I wanted to impart on you today. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe. I'm going to be throwing a little bit of these little knowledge videos in here and there, but I will also be putting out some funny, meme content.
Yeah, and generally that's interesting. I think that's pretty interesting. But I just don't. I just thought I'd like offer my opinion here. I think he seems to know a lot more than he lets on. You know, but he's definitely seems to be a hardware guy. I'm not sure exactly how much this man knows, but yeah. But I guess final thoughts here. Maybe I should give my final thoughts here. Yeah. So I should give my final thoughts here. Um, I think he is definitely experienced. I don't think he's giving any specifics about his type of work. I don't know why. I mean, the ASM thing, that's pretty interesting. Like the legacy, code thing, that was pretty interesting towards the end. But like, I don't know. His work experience is definitely different than mine, for sure. Like he's definitely not a contractor. I mean, I haven't worked at $20 an hour before. But, I can't remember the last time I ever accepted $20 an hour for a job. But I've had a long periods where I've been unemployed, and so I kind of get that. I kind of get what he means. But even then, I think if as long as his employment was consistent, if his employment was consistent, then he would be making more money than me. But like I would not be able to survive on a job that was like 20 an hour. Even 40 an hour is difficult, because like clients just like change their minds on a whim sometimes. Like half the battle, like if you're in contracting, is just convince the people. You have to convince them every day why you're worth, keeping on, you know and it's just like it's so annoying. Like you don't sometimes they won't tell you their budgets. You have to ask about what their budget is. You have to make sure that you know what's going in, and sometimes they'll just straight up lie to you. Like clients are just not fun. They're not fun to work with. Some of them are great. Like some of them are wonderful, and you just love working with them and it's great. But like I don't know, when the market gets pretty bad, the people you work for get pretty bad too. So it's it is what it is. So you know but anyway, um yeah, that's my rant for today. So